are ITC Cybersecurity, empowering businesses with robust cybersecurity protection.
Hello, welcome to Cybered Reality. I'm Mari Cherry. Cybered Reality is cybersecurity tips and tricks for everyone, where we unravel the mysteries of cybersecurity one bite at a time. From digital heists to hacker exploits, we uncover online threats and the strategies to stay ahead. Whether you're an IT pro, business owner, or just safeguarding your personal data, this is your guide to the cyber world.
Thanks, Mari. Hi, I'm Mike Rotundo. I'm the co-host of Cyber Reality, brought to you by RTC Cybersecurity, small businesses partner in proactive cybersecurity. We are glad you joined us. Our goal on this podcast is to provide information that both the cybersecurity professional and those whose interest in cybersecurity can use. Today, we're going to go through some cybersecurity news and discuss security training. If I'm correct, is that correct, Mari?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Okay, first news story we have is DPRK hackers dupe targets into typing PowerShell commands as admin.
Yeah.
That seems scary.
It is.
So we're going to talk about this later in the podcast, but this side of all of this is really fascinating to me and kind of cold-hearted. According to the information from Microsoft's threat intelligence team, the attacker masquerades as South Korean government officials and gradually builds a connection with the victim. Then he sends the victim spear phishing emails, which I think we should talk about some more, with a PDF link, and instructs them to run PowerShell as admin. So I don't know what PowerShell is, so we should talk about that a little bit. Okay. But what does this do?
Okay, so on a Windows device, the goal is DPRK, being the North Koreans, are trying to exploit South Korea. So for those people that didn't know what the DPRK is,
Thanks.
yeah. But anyway, so what they're trying to do is PowerShell is a way of running Windows commands. So if they can get someone with the right privileges, the ability, and talk them into running these commands, then they're going to be able to take over computers, networks, or what have you. It's kind of like when PayPal was phishing me, and I contacted them back just to see what it was, and it was some hacker pretending to be PayPal, and they wanted me to install things on my phone so that they could, have me install stuff on my computer. And I was like, sure, right, yeah, not happening. But you keep going, guys. Now, it's not safe to do that anymore, to call them back when they do stuff like that. But back before AI was such a big deal, it was all right.
So why isn't it safe?
Well, so the hackers are using AI now, and they can use AI to manipulate your voice, and they can cause, fake authentication, fake communications. There's even a scam out there, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about deep fakes on AI. One of the news stories is that they pretend that you've been kidnapped, and you're calling your family for ransom.
Yeah. I just had one more little snippet from the article. It just says Microsoft says it observed this tactic in limited scope attacks starting in January 2025, targeting individuals that work in international affairs organizations, NGOs, government agencies, and media companies across North America, South America, Europe, and East Asia.
So that's basically, not to get too political, is that that's one of the ways the North Koreans get hard money is by hacking and cybercrime, aside from selling weapons and a couple other things. So that's why they do a lot of this stuff. Generally, they focus on Africa, though.
Really?
In South Korea. Yeah, because it's just easier for them. It's almost like it's divided up. Like, the North Koreans, or at least they used to target Africa. Chinese are targeting the U.S. Russians are targeting the U.S. Chinese actually targeting everybody. The Iranians always have an agenda. They're probably looking at Israel and the U.S. And the Chinese also go after the Japanese a lot because they don't like each other. So,
next one we've got is surge in attacks exploiting old Think PHP and Own Cloud flaws. This was from Bleeping Computer. It says increased hacker activity has been observed in attempts to compromise poorly maintained devices, which I like this one because this came up with some people a couple weeks ago, I believe. Poorly maintained devices that are valuable to older security issues. Wait, let me start that over. Sorry. Poorly maintained devices that are vulnerable to older security issues from 22 and 23. So actors are leveraging Think PHP and open source own cloud solution for file sharing and syncing. They
Right.
both can be exploited to execute arbitrary system commands or obtain sensitive data. So, what are some examples of poorly maintained devices?
Oh, there's myriads of those. It's everything from not patching your laptop, your desktop, your phone, to not having antivirus on it. But in this case, the PHP they're talking about is generally it's a web server of some kind, and PHP is part of a web apparatus, typically. I'm sure there's other uses for it, but so it's in web infrastructure, and basically you're not patching it. And we run across this all the time, where they've got PHP's a couple years out of date or a couple revs out of date, and it just needs to be patched. But the problem is it can't always be patched because you don't know what the ripple effect on the application is. If I update this version of PHP, is it going to break my code?
Okay. And then for our millions of at-home listeners, what is patching?
Patching is when when Microsoft pushes a thing saying you're getting your updates for this week, and then or Apple or whomever, and basically what it is they've identified flaws in their software, or anybody else, to be honest with you, identifies flaws in the software and then pushes a fix to it. So that's what patching is.
The attacker is connected from the IP number it gives it. I'm not going to read it off. An Estonian-based server running a simple help instance on port 80. I have a special place in my heart for Estonia.
Do you?
I do. If you know, you know. Once connected via RMM, the attackers quickly executed a series of discovery commands to learn more about the target environment, including system and network details, users and privileges, scheduled tasks and services, and domain controller information. That seems like a lot of stuff that maybe you wouldn't want people to know.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So what they're doing is attacking MSPs, right? So managed service providers, and they're people that sell their services to small companies and sometimes larger companies, and they do all the computer work. So the software, the RMM, is a remote management software, and Simple Help is just a way of going into those devices and making changes and that sort of thing. So the goal, obviously, is to compromise that password. But if you can get, the Chinese philosophy, and this is, I think we've talked about this before, is that the goal is to get one MSP, because then you'll get many companies, many clients. So just by exploiting one, you can get many.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, this is honestly, what they're trying to do is basically take over the systems. I'm trying to take over the desktops, take over the servers, trying to take over everything they can, be it to harvest data, to harvest Bitcoin, to what have you. So it could be anything. This is a really bad thing. And there's a story a couple years ago about some MSP in the Northwest. I can't remember, it was like Seattle or Portland. Anyway, it got compromised, and it took down like 7 of their companies. 7 of their clients in the process, and the MSP was so broken because all their data was encrypted, and their clients were hosed, and they wound up just basically shutting their doors, turning off their website, and just not even responding to email anymore.
Oh my gosh! Did you want to get into your?
Yeah, let's talk about phishing season.
Yeah, phishing season.
Contrary
means something
to
else
popular
to me.
belief, this does not have anything to do with phishing licenses.
No trout.
No trout.
No trout.
Yep.
Bass. Nothing like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, every year, cyber criminals sharpen their tools, and they were finding their attacks exploiting network and security vulnerabilities. A long time ago, the emails were really clumsy. You'd get, do the needful, and mad misspellings and caps wrong, or they'd call you. It'd be dear, your email name, which doesn't always work. Although the number one opening line of a phishing email is now "Hope all is well."
Oh,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
yeah. And that's how I used to start most of my email. Not that I was phishing, but that's how I started most of my email. Hope you're doing all right, that kind of stuff. And I've since changed that when I started that. So, so attackers are basically creating digital narratives that make it difficult to distinguish friend from foe. And they're using DMs, they're using your inbox, they're doing email. So what has to happen is that our defenses need to continue to evolve, because enhanced AI capabilities increase the speed, scale, and automation of cyber attacks. we need to be able to keep up, and unfortunately, the AV and the desktop managers aren't there yet. So,
Really?
yeah,
That's too bad.
yeah.
So what do we do?
Well, training, cybersecurity training, which is what we're going to talk about in a minute.
Hey!
Is teach people how to identify a phishing email, to teach people how to deal with phishing email. Like, don't click on links from people you don't know. And even if you know them in a business setting, why is my mom emailing me at my business email address? Because, that's not how mom gets a hold of me, kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were talking about AI-driven phishing. And you were asking about, is it possible to add a malicious link accidentally or something of that nature?
Right.
And yeah, it happens all the time because people don't understand what they have, or it's so embedded, and it happens with PDFs. Yeah, a lot of things. And, they're even embedding malware in, if you go on the internet and you're trying to download something like a Word doc or something like that, they'll embed malware in there as well. So it's all
if
over the place.
you just go find something, trying to be helpful, to send it away to give someone some insight or whatever research.
Yep.
And how do you? Okay, so how is there a way to know?
There isn't. You got to make sure you're going to a reputable site. Generally, the first 3 or 4 searches on Google, I don't know if it's that much, but you're going to find a lot of stuff that's the initial links are going to be bad, or the ad links, or there's going to be some kind of thing, tracker or something tagging along on that. But generally, the safest bet is if you see a Word or an Excel or some kind of document on there, convert it to PDF before you download it, because that'll make it somewhat inert, and then you can convert it after the fact. After you scan it, you can try and convert it after the fact. But generally, just be really careful what you download from the internet. So
converting it to PDF could help.
Could help. Not a guarantee, but it could help.
Okay. Interesting.
So we do that a lot with phishing email. We'll convert it automatically to PDF, the whole email, and so you can see an example of it.
Okay, what does converting it to PDF do? How does that mitigate the risk?
It changes the format of the document, and so whereas a Word will have macros enabled, which is code underlying, the PDF will not have macros.
Got it. Okay. Did you have one more?
I did, and we kind of touched on this earlier. It's how AI-driven identity fraud is causing havoc.
Yeah.
And this is from We Live Security.
Okay.
And AI is transforming our world in ways both expected and unforeseen. For consumers, the technology means more accurately personalized digital content, better healthcare diagnostics, those kind of things, real-time language translation, and, the AI assistance. However, AI is also used to help cyber criminals. And we talked about this before. Ghost GPT, Fraud GPT, Worm GPT, and there was one more, and I can't ever remember the fourth one.
I don't remember it either. Do you want me to look it up?
No, I think, well, yeah, if you want to. That'd be great.
We'll see if I can find it.
Mari is now going to Google to search.
I'm going to use ChatGPT. I'm just kidding.
Are you?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I got you so good, though.
It's just like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
Worm fraud and... So it's worm fraud and ghost, and there's one other out there, and we can't remember it at the time, but if you really want to know, go look it up. But
you'll find it.
But the fact of the matter is, there's a bunch of jailbroken ChatGPT out there that cyber criminals are using. And it's now becoming identity fraud, which is the most common fraud type today. It's interesting is that a third of banking risk and innovation leaders in UK, Spain, US say that is the biggest challenge that they're facing because of the deep fakes. Because, and alluding back to what I was talking about, the PayPal thing, you can fake my voice. You can fake my picture now. If you can fake Mari's voice and picture, we're not giving you our permission, by the way, but anybody's, you can try and use that. You still have to do a whole lot of research, and you have to know how to answer the questions the person to answer, but which makes fraud or theft of identity that much more valuable, though, because if you can steal an identity along with a voice or a picture, you can pretty much own that person.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's a big bad word.
Yeah. What do you do?
Well, you just
What
got
do
to be
you
real
do?
careful with your data, and do all the protections you can. Don't click on links. Make sure you don't share your data. Don't overshare on Facebook or whatever social media that you happen to be on. Protect your computer. Make sure it's up to date. You're running out antivirus, anti-malware that's secure and up to date. Run a VPN when you feel like it's a search. Change your bank password every 30 days. Your credit card passwords every 30 days. Put on MFA, multi-factor, wherever possible. So even if they get your password, they don't have the whole piece. So,
Yeah.
but when they're trying to fake you as a human, there's only so much you can do.
What would be the first step if something like that happened? Like say that happened to me, I wouldn't even know. What would be the first thing I should do?
Well, you're going to want to call. That's the problem, because it's almost like it's check and it's not checkmate, but it's check. So you're going to have to get to a credit bureau and you're going to convince them that you are who you say you are and get them to lock your credit or freeze your credit. And then you're going to have to get to whoever, typically they're going to take out a loan or credit cards in your name, run them up, and then, or empty out your bank account or something of that nature.
Oh gosh.
Well, I mean, just in case, there was a deep fake AI posted at HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, of Donald Trump kissing Elon Musk's feet. Someone hacked into their internal television system and played it on the internal television. This was just a couple days ago. So if that gives you an idea of what can be done with AI. So.
Oh my gosh. That's
Well, and then
people are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can go even further with the deep fake stuff. I mean, deep fake porn is a huge thing. AI driven porn is going to be huge. And it may actually put, who knows how much AI porn is going to show up on, what's that one? OnlyFans?
OnlyFans.
Yeah. I mean, what are you literally looking at, kind of thing. So.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I saw this video the other day, actually, and it was a personal trainer who showed pictures of women, and he was going through them, and then he goes, these are all AI generated. So, because he tries to promote, like body positivity for women and help them to be strong and help them to know how to, target specific things for their particular body type or whatever.
Right.
And the point was that there's these fake images out there that are being promoted and perpetuated, and women believe it's real, and it's not. It's fake.
Right.
But they looked real. They looked real.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
No. So that's
insane.
that's what you got to be careful about. I mean, that's what the world is becoming. Now it's only, believe half of what you hear and half of what you see. And, you got to trust but verify, We're going to get back down to pens and paper, and that's how we're going to start communicating again. This email, it's going to be too dangerous. Video is going to be gone.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Be out of a job?
No, we're still good. They're always going to need us, Mari.
Okay.
RITC Cybersecurity is here to stay. We are perpetual.
For generations.
For generations. Yep. We're gonna pass this on to the kids, and we're gonna pass it on to their kids, and
At home, I just put a few, and if you want to add something
Okay.
after I word vomit all over the place, go for it.
Spew away.
Gross. Okay. So at home, I have just updates. You're patching.
Right.
Some kind of antivirus like Bitdefender, MFA, and maybe don't use facial recognition on your devices.
Never on your phone.
Like some people I know. I won't say who. I won't say, but some people I might know. In business, again, basics like updates, patching, some kind of antivirus, MFA, make sure employees know about how to look for phishing, mishing, squishing, and all those.
Phishing, spear
Yep.
phishing,
Yeah,
whale fishing.
sure. How about
Do you want?
How about you give us some actual examples of these, because I I just come up with bullcrap
At
answers
present,
every time.
Mari's
So
just adding the word phishing to every word that pops
I
into
am.
her head.
I am. I am.
Smishing has nothing to do with fake smoking.
That you know of.
That I know of. It could be. It could be the next thing. Hacking vapes.
Right? Oh no.
Spear phishing, that's when you are doing research on a specific target. You have a specific reason you're going after that specific person. You have developed as much information on them as possible. So you are crafting an email that will specifically go after them. For example, CEO of a small company, but fairly high profile, is posting his schedule everywhere. People are trying to get into the CEO's business and have determined that he is at a specific event doing something, and you provide all that email to his assistant and say, hey, John is at this event, or it's me, it's John, I'm at this event, I need you to wire $25,000 to me because I need it to do this and this. And yeah, so that that's one version of it. Or it's me, for example, sending an email to you with everything I know and saying, based on this, you need to, I need this action from you. So it's a spear phishing. It's targeted. Whale phishing is when they focus on the CEO, CFO, COOs specifically.
The big guy.
The big guy. So whale,
I got you.
right?
Yeah, I got you.
Quishing is fake QR codes, and that's becoming a bigger tool because you'll get people that'll put out those flyers on your car window that say, click on, take this QR code and you'll get a discount, at this steakhouse, and you click on it, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of malware on your phone or whatever it is.
Genius.
Smishing is SMS text messages where they're sending out an SMS, and you respond to it. If you either respond to it or you click on a link that takes you somewhere, it's going to download malware to your phone. There's also things out there called dolphin attacks, which is basically if you make specific noises, it can trigger Siri to do certain actions, and you can control Siri. And there's Bluetooth attacks, and there's all sorts of things. But the main way of communicating is smishing, phishing. Quishing, which is voice. Quishing would be I pretend to be the help desk calling to say I need this, or something of that nature. So which kind of goes along with the fatigue of approval fatigue. I don't remember the exact term for it, but it's when someone tries to get a hold of an Okta or something like that wants you to cause an action and continually sends you request to authenticate, and you finally just get tired because it's 2:00 in the morning and you want to sleep, and you hit okay. Yep. Well, guess what? They just hacked your everything. So
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but we can also go a little deeper with security training. And we can bring up security frameworks that are important, like NIST, CIS, SOC 2, HIPAA.
HIPAA specifically for healthcare, right? And it's how you protect your data, and it's organizational. You're looking at technical, administrative, and physical. So those are your main controls in there.
Another thing I have on here is make sure all employees understand proper chain of command, who they need to contact if they suspect a breach, and the proper steps to follow if there is one. Do you have a couple examples?
Well, yeah, I mean, you need to go who to communicate. I mean, a lot of instant response plans say, contact management or the security team or something like that. But a lot of your rank and file may not even know who that is. And in a small company, it's even worse. Yeah. You know, so.
Well, we know because it'd be me.
Yeah, well, of course.
Because I take care of all, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, stuff hits the fan. Call Mari.
I'll take care of it. Okay. More steps would be having policies in place.
Yes,
we know about those. We talk about those a lot. We write a lot of those.
Yes, we do.
Assessments. I'm learning a lot about those, all the different assessments. Contact with professionals like Mike, or, me. I just contradicted myself there. But for real, contact professionals like Mike to bail you out when breaches happen. And before any of that happens, though, people should contact you to make sure that everything's set up correctly. So the risk of these things happening is drastically lowered.
That's correct.
So it doesn't even happen in the first place, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Well, I mean, that's where your security frameworks come into play, right? So if you develop
Right.
you follow a good security framework in your small company like CAS, which is, it's 20 different sets of controls, maybe 100 different things to look at, and it's really simple. And you just, punch certain things. NIST is the same way. NIST CSF, they did a small version called NIST CSF, so you're not dealing with 853, which I think has 2,000 some odd controls on it, which is a larger bite than anybody ever wants to take.
Yeah.
So, I will give you this example. This is a true life example. I had a client once that had developed this piece of software and had no security framework in place. So they were selling it to someone, and they said, well, what's your security framework? And the guy panicked and said, NIST 853. Well, this was a company of about 7 people. And with no technical, true technical expertise other than development. And there were only 3 developers.
Just don't lie.
Well, don't lie, but also don't write it into a contract, and also don't commit to that without saying, you know what, we're going to look into that and get back to you. That's always the good thing. But yeah,
that's a hard lesson.
Don't panic. At least he didn't say CMMC. 'Cause that would have been really bad. So.
Oh man, that sucks. What happened? Can you say?
We had to put him through it because they had the contract. Now we did it at level 1 instead of level 3, which is the basics, but it's still a lot of work.
Was he really angry with himself?
They were not happy with themselves, but there was no way out of the contract.
Nope.
They went ahead and signed it, and it's like, okay.
Well, yeah, that's too bad. It's a tough lesson to learn.
It is. It's like the old adage: you pick the size of the stick you want to be beaten with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's why it's important in policies, though, too, is that you don't write a bunch of stuff in there that you're not doing, because if you get audited,
right? Yeah.
right?
But that's why you hire us, because Mike is really good at these assessments, and we go through and we pick all the things that are going to work for you or apply to you, and we check all those boxes and make sure that you're up to speed with everything that you are saying you're doing.
Exactly. And making sure you're not saying you're doing things that you don't do, and you're
Right.
not claiming to have technology in place that you do not have.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, that's too bad. All right, so cybersecurity training. Another one I have on here is incident response training. So that's a fun one, right? That's our tabletops,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and that can be extra fun if you want to turn it into a drinking game or something else.
Yeah, recommend that to be a Friday afternoon if you're going to turn it into a drinking game. Yeah,
Yeah, happy hour.
exactly.
Also, I was thinking maybe we should have all of our millions of listeners write in and give us some ideas of more games we could try for tabletops. So
There's a good idea. Yeah.
if anyone has any other ideas they want to write in and tell us about,
Yeah.
maybe we'll put that out there.
Send that to our info@ritcsecurity.com.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I like this one. Social engineering awareness.
Yes.
Because they get this one. They're good at this one. And it seems so evil, but I understand why they do it. I get it. So I'd like to talk about this one for a minute.
Okay.
Educate employees on manipulation tactics used by attackers. And we just had, this has been a couple weeks, but we had a little refresher on this. I think you had a meeting or something just a little while ago about it. It seems like, so poking around the interwebs, I came across these. I picked 3. There were a lot of examples, but
Okay.
I picked these 3 examples. So example 1 is phishing email identification workshops.
Yes.
So simulate phishing campaigns, interactive breakdown, hands-on experience, and apparently the outcome, employees become confident in recognizing these attempts and reports them through proper channels, which is something we talked about before.
Yep.
So I would just be like, hey, Mike, this is happening. Here you go.
Well, you remember when you started, you were getting a bunch of emails that were pretending to be from me.
Yeah, that was so weird. And it was like, they were so intense too. It was like all caps, like 30 exclamation points. Confirm your cell number. And I'm like, you have it already if this was really you. You know this. You know this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember that. I think they still show up in my junk.
Good. Yeah.
I haven't checked for a little while, but yeah, last time. Number 2,
Yep.
pretexting scenario role playing. So real world examples, role playing or LARPing.
Yep. There you go.
LARPing, anyone?
Yep.
So outcome, employees learn to handle unexpected requests with caution, and they get to like practice it and get more comfortable. That's something I always tell my kids all the time. You have to keep practicing. You have to practice. And I'm pretty sure they hate hearing it over and over and over again.
And
But
nobody likes practice.
practice.
Yeah.
No. Anything else to add?
No, I think that's great. I mean, because the real world. I mean, the worst thing you can do for a tabletop is have it completely scripted and know the script in advance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's not going to do any good.
So that's why we completely randomize ours. So
Yeah.
it's basically you don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Mark doesn't know what happen. We're going to put some scenarios out there and just
Right.
see what
Roll
the
the
universe
dice.
gives us. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
See what the universe gives us.
That's right.
And then how you react, and and it puts some pressure. And the idea then also that we use is that when we get away from just doing the IT people, we involve non-IT people in there.
Yeah.
So
And that's really important because a company is made up of all different departments. You can't just have IT. You need to educate everyone, company-wide.
in small companies, it's especially important because if you have that one IT guy, what happens if the one IT guy is not available?
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a bad day.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 I have is tailgating and impersonation awareness. Live demonstrations, video case studies, interactive discussions, and the outcome for this is supposed to be employees understand the importance of access control and confidentiality enforcement, even in socially awkward situations, which is all the time for me. So that doesn't really apply to me, but I understand the concept.
There you go.
It's just all the time for me. But yeah, even if it's uncomfortable, your employees will have an idea and they'll remember like, oh, this is familiar. I remember practicing this or seeing this, and they'll have a better understanding of what to do and how to handle it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So physical penetration testing is an actual thing where you tend to get into a physical facility. It used to be that if you showed up in brown shorts and a brown T-shirt and had a clipboard, you could pretty much go in anywhere. Or if you show up in a tie and you walk around like you know what you're doing, no one's going to question you. Things are getting better than that, but that was the old days. Now, if you're carrying a box of donuts, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get in. Or if you're going to a medical facility wearing scrubs, a disgusted look on your face, and a lanyard that's similar to the ones they wear, and maybe a stethoscope and some other stuff, or a lab coat if you can get it, you can pretty much get anywhere. Still, that was the work phone.
Oh,
No, it's that same guy calling you from New York asking about your the Microsoft training
yeah.
stuff.
I still haven't gotten any emails about that. That's weird.
It's funny, isn't it? One thing to always remember: if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yes, that's true. Because I think a lot of us, we really hope for the best, but
Yeah. Yeah. If somebody's offering you a CISSP boot camp for $25, it ain't happening. That's like
oh
$6,000.
shoot, so I should cancel that.
You should cancel that. Yeah. You shouldn't have used the company credit card for that one.
Dang it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go cancel that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just got to be careful what you're doing. I mean, obviously, there's opportunity out there all the time for training, and
Yeah.
but you also need to provide training to your company, and there's good companies out there that do that, and they, will do live phishing tests when you don't know you're being phished, or the problem.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we used to do that all the time, and we'll be doing that going forward. So you do live phishing tests. You also do the tests. You have to watch a video and then answer questions. The brainless stuff. But yeah, live phishing. The problem that always happens is you have someone else managing your phishing, or when you have it, you always kick it off on the third Thursday of every month, and so people expect that when something funky happens on the third Thursday of the month, email-wise, that it's a phishing test. So it has to be randomized.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's not gonna. You're gonna lose a lot of the effect. So, and don't do everybody at once. I mean, I worked with a company that we sent out a phishing email for Starbucks, BUX, right around Christmas. and said, by clicking on this and filling out this form, you're going to get a free Starbucks coffee. BUS.
Lucky.
And, people, we've been doing phishing training for a year, and we still got like 30 people.
For real?
Oh, yeah.
Well, free coffee.
Yeah.
Hard to say no to that. They were blinded.
They
That was cruel. They were blinded.
I know, but they had to go to remedial training because of it.
Yep.
So there also needs to be consequences if you fail your training. I mean, you got to go to some kind of remedial class. You have to go to something. And if someone continually fails, you're not being a jerk by reprimanding them in some way. But at a certain point, you got to realize that they're hazarding your business, especially,
right. Yeah. I mean, there's consequences for your actions. There has to be.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be consequences for failure.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Do you have any places people could check out? Suggestions for?
Yeah, no, before's good. For if you're looking for a small company to get some training, they do some pretty good work. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them out there. But you really want a good, reputable training organization. So, long gone are the days of my nephew who's getting his CIS degree put together this training for the class, for the school, or for the business.
Well, that's what I do, so
I know.
You're going to watch it.
But no, I mean, a lot of times they'd put together a PowerPoint and someone would stand up in front and be like, see, slide 1, this is what this is, kind of thing. And it's just...
That's fun.
Yeah.
Well, all right, that's all I've got for cybersecurity training. Do you have any nuggets of wisdom you'd like to tack on the end here?
Well, I would just say find a cybersecurity framework. Don't look at it and go, oh my God, there's 140 controls. I can't do all this. Find a security professional, have them walk through and help you put together a security program like that. Security training, it detracts from your business a little bit, but it also ultimately protects your business.
For sure.
Basic cybersecurity hygiene, making sure things are patched, that your antivirus is up to date. Those sort of things need to be done, and they're not expensive to do. And training your people, always training your people, and then documenting what you do instead of saying, oh, well, everybody knows. There's 2 reasons for that. One, you've got a source for when new people come in and say, look, read this is how we function. 2, it's also a CYA, because if something ever happens, you can say, look, I trained my people to do X, Y, and Z. And because user whatever didn't do X, Y, and Z, we got hacked. And it's a protection thing.
CYA?
Cover your ass.
Cool.
But this is a non-swearing program, ladies and gentlemen, so it's CYB, so cover your butt. No, we can cover your ass, and that's fine.
Okay. I was like, wait, I think we already crossed that bridge.
Yeah, we have to bleep out all your vulgarity, but, I'm pretty good with it.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. We're going to try something new on this episode, speed round, where I'm going to bring up a topic or 10, depending on the day.
Okay.
And you, Mike, are going to give us a really quick little answer.
Okay.
Quick. Short and sweet.
Answer. Short and sweet.
Yes.
Less than 2 paragraphs.
Correct. That's right. All right. Top 2 at-home antivirus, and are they suitable for a business?
Yes. You can use anything from Norton Bitdefender to Avast, depending on what kind of platform you may have. And they can all 3 of those can be controlled centrally. So that's the nice thing about Bitdefender. That's why I like it. So.
Awesome. What is HIPAA?
HIPAA. It's the Health Information Privacy and Portability Act. And what it basically is, it's HIPAA is defined data, which is EPHI, which is electronic protected health information. And it's all about how to protect that data and what you can and can't do with it to ensure that your customers are protected and your data is protected. So
right. Awesome. NIST.
NIST has multiple frameworks. It is it is a standard used by the federal government. You've got NIST CSF, you've got NIST 800-171, you've got NIST 853, and then you have a whole bunch of special publications on there that basically define how you should implement cybersecurity. And you really need to pick the right one. And I highly recommend, if you're a small company, not to pick 53 or 171.
Why not?
Because they're big and it's a lot of work. Now, we will gladly sell you a package and walk you through that. If that's what you are insistent upon, that your company of 3 people has to be 171 Alpha compliant, I'm going to try and talk you out of it. Mari's going to try and talk you out of it. But if you really want it, we'll do it.
We'll be there for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
SOC 2.
SOC 2 is a business certification, which is really a misnomer. People think it's an IT certification, but it's a business certification. It's basically looking at the whole company's management of risk. So there is a large IT component, especially on the security piece, but there also are accounting questions and HR questions and all that kind of other stuff, which NIST and CIS don't get into.
Okay. That was my next one, CIS.
Okay. Well, CIS is a lighter weight security framework than NIST CSF. It's focused on the top 20 controls with some sub controls, and what it basically is a way of securing your infrastructure. The reason you use NIST or CIS, it depends if you have a documentation requirement, because NIST documentation is more robust. CIS doesn't require as much CIS documentation. So if you're going for a SOC 2, you want to do NIST CSF.
Got it. Okay. And 2 more. What is a tabletop?
A tabletop exercise is an exercise that we do to validate the the accuracy of your incident response plan, your disaster recovery plan, that sort of thing. You look at different scenarios, and you go through different scenarios and see what your responses are, and to see that your policies and procedures match and are able to address those issues.
Yeah, it's a game.
It's a game. Yeah. Some people just take it way too seriously.
Well, I mean, that happens with any game, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Am I right?
Yep. Fist fights over Monopoly.
I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Mari's a brawler, ladies and gentlemen.
What can I say? I just can't help it. I think that's it. I had one more, but we already covered it, how to combat phishing emails. So.
Oh, yeah, we talked a lot about that today.
Yeah, we did. So I don't think we need to get into that again. But, all right. I think that's it. I think we're...
Yeah. I think we've wrapped this sucker up. So that's it for today.
I think so, too.
Stay smart. And remember, the only thing that you should unlock is this podcast.
That's right.
Reach out to us if you need anything. Thank you so much for watching and listening and putting up with us. Hope you laughed, smiled, cried, and went through the entire band of emotions. With that, I'm Mike Rotundo, and that's my co-host is
Mari Cherry.
There you go. All right.